Archvale is a bullet hell RPG action-adventure game with a pretty big open world. We're not really treading any new ground here. The bullet hell action feels a lot like Enter the Gungeon, the crafting is simplistic, and the combat is ordinary. But all of these things combine to make Archvale one of the best games I've played last year, 2021. The goal of Archvale is to collect all 7 pieces of the arch that have been hidden. You must search the world to find their location deep inside a dungeon. A scary dungeon filled with enemies and challenging platforming. But traversing the dungeon isn't all you need to do. No. You must defeat a bullet hell boss as well. Archvale isn't a casual game by any means. There's also something strange going on with a powerful foe who seems a little too friendly to be just another enemy. They're carefully following your quest, and I'm not sure what their deal is yet. The most interesting aspect of Archvale has to be the wide open world. It's a pretty large map with many branching paths. There's a lot to explore, and you get to make your own way through it. The game gives no indication which way to go first. This is awesome. If you enjoy a non-linear experience, then it's perfect. You can choose to go into the desert area first, or the caves, it's up to you. There are 2 spots which force you to do a damage check and a health check before you can continue, but other than that, there are a lot of options. You'll know you're going the wrong way when the game is too difficult, which can be a little frustrating if you don't want to fail. I went the wrong way and it was difficult, but I overcame that to only breeze through a different way later. It was only a little too difficult and I didn't consider shifting my focus. Luckily, moving around the world is easy with all the save points around. You can move between them freely, so there's no reason not to try a different path. Anyway, the open world is filled to the brim with enemies, and every time you enter a new area, you're locked inside until you defeat them all. I feel like I play a lot of these games. There are a few points you need to consider. First, the enemies respawn every time you touch a save point, so there's little incentive to trudge back through all the old areas, especially since there are so many of those save points. Second, you will want to see every screen. Okay, maybe not every single screen, but most of them. Keep your eyes peeled for ore, mega plums, items, and more of those save points. To go a little further, items are important to become more powerful. Save points are important for getting around, but also drop an item which adds to your defense. And the mega plums are important because they will make your healing potions more effective. You cannot rely on items dropping alone to become more powerful though. That's what the ore is for. Each of the zones has its own type of ore to find. Back in town, you can craft swords, daggers, spears, flails, bows, crossbows, boomerangs, guns, staffs, tomes, helmets, and body armor. A stronger area equals a stronger set of gear that can be crafted from the ore. Choosing which pieces of gear you want to upgrade first is exciting, and the always changing appearance of your character is fun. I've already named many of the weapons, but there are 3 different types: melee, magic, and ranged. I found the ranged to be my favorite and coincided with the armor I was crafting. Melee weapons are strong, and even though they have a very small range, they're difficult to stay safe with. Getting in close to enemies is dangerous, and the armor doesn't give more defense to balance it out. You can swap between weapons, but depending on the buffs, it isn't advised. I tried magic a few times, and it's probably viable. Blue stars drop from enemies to buff your damage, and it was too stressful for me to try and pick them up. I could never justify the armor set or get the badges right, but we'll get to the badges shortly. The weapon selection seems huge, but most of the weapons do the same thing. Your playstyle isn't going to change much between all the melee weapons or between a bow and throwing axes. There are also very few difficult choices between the weapons. There are a few special weapons that require old weapons to build on, but I didn't use any of them. The gear is enjoyable, but not thrilling. Finally, those badges. They're small buffs to your character that are so specific, you'll want to change them often. Luckily, they're so easy to swap between, I was doing it all the time. Found a tricky boss? Swap some of those badges around and give it another go. You can switch them whenever you want, but it will only take effect once you find a safe spot. An example badge is the Ruby Brooch, which increases melee damage. Pretty straightforward. Another example, Super Reach, allows melee weapons to travel further. You can see how you would want both of these equipped if you were playing a melee character. However, each badge has a cost and you are limited to how much you can apply. Badges are available for purchase and the inventory increases when you find a new town. You can also find them in extremely difficult dodge challenges. Here's an example of one of them. There are 3 stages, with each one getting more difficult. A single hit and you will have to start over, but fortunately you start from the stage and not from the beginning. It takes a little health and I guess you could run out eventually, but it seems unlikely. What I will say is that these are easier to do on a controller, since moving in a diagonal is useful. Do note, I skipped a lot of these. They're incredibly tricky and I wasn't that interested in them. I'm sure I missed some badges to power up my character, but skipping the challenges did not stop me from finishing Archvale on normal. Before the end of the video, I want to point out that there is co-op mode, but I did not get the chance to play it. I sort of have difficulty imagining it too, not sure how it would work, and the game plays perfectly well alone. Overall, Archvale is quite good, and I've spent a lot of time playing it. Sure, there are some rough edges, but the very open, go anywhere you want gameplay is nice. I ended up beating some areas I shouldn't have with persistence, and it kind of felt great. The amount of gear is good, even though I stuck with ranged. If I didn't have a million more games to play, I would consider replaying Archvale on a higher difficulty with magic. I had a lot of fun playing, and I highly recommend it. Thanks for watching. We're in the part of the video where it's over, but you're still here. How can that be? Subscribe.